I can tell you that tonight, shortly before 8 p.m., we had Chula Vista police officers involved in a pursuit. The reason for the stop was that they observed a Mercedes that was driving westbound on 8th Street in our city. At that point, they saw registration tabs that appeared to be false, and they should not go with the vehicle. At that point, they tried to activate their emergency lights and sirens and do a traffic stop on that vehicle. The vehicle at that point failed to pull over. At this point, there was a slow speed police pursuit. Speeds at this point were believed to be around 30 to 35 miles an hour. That vehicle then proceeded to go northbound on 2nd Street and then go to F Street, where it went at this point eastbound. It then went eastbound F Street to Hilltop. At that point, when it got to Hilltop, the vehicle began to accelerate. At this point, speeds began to go to 45, 50 miles an hour as it proceeded to go southbound on Hilltop. At this point, the vehicle ran a stop sign at Hilltop and G, and then it came to a red light at the intersection of Hilltop and H, where it ran that light. Speeds at this point began to pick up to approximately 60 to 70 miles an hour as it proceeded to go southbound on Hilltop, again running another stop sign at Hilltop and Naples. At this point, a vehicle not involved, a citizen, had to actually pull to the side of the road and avoid being hit by the suspect vehicle. The suspect vehicle then came to Hilltop and Oxford, and at that point lost control, and that's when the vehicle went into a retaining wall just here at Hilltop and Oxford, and then at that point it went into a telephone pole. I can tell you at this point that nobody was injured inside the residence here at Hilltop and Oxford. At that point, we had an individual, the driver we believe, from the vehicle ejected from the car. We then had a female occupant in the front seat, passenger seat. That individual did not get out of the vehicle. However, there was a passenger in the back seat of the car who attempted to get out of the car and run from officers. At this point, there was a short foot pursuit. During the foot pursuit, a knife was dropped by that individual onto the ground. The officers then were able to take him into custody without further incident. Officers went back to the vehicle. They did notice a handgun laying on the floorboard of the car, as well as a large quantity of narcotics in the vehicle. At this point, officers then proceeded to do CPR on the individual that was ejected from the car. They continued to do CPR until paramedics arrived on scene. Once paramedics arrived on scene, they continued CPR on this individual. All three of them were ultimately transported to the hospital. Two of them right now are undergoing treatment for their injuries, which are not considered serious. However, the individual we believe to be the driver that was ejected from the car was pronounced dead earlier at the hospital. At this point, I'll take a few questions.
We understand that the person was known to officers during the chase?
That's correct. Officers, once running the vehicle license plate and realizing that the tab did not match up with the plate and looking at trying to verify registered owners of the vehicle, they believe the occupants possibly were gang members. That has now been verified. The individual that was ejected from the car is a documented gang member, as well as being on probation.
Have you recovered the weapon?
Right now, the crime lab will be coming out to the scene. We're processing this scene obviously as a crime scene as well as a accident scene. The gun is at this point still in the vehicle, but it will be recovered as evidence.
And there is nothing else going on tonight that connects that weapon with another crime or these people?
That's undetermined at this point. We're not sure what these individuals were up to. Obviously, we know that gang members oftentimes carry weapons. This was verified from this stop. There was obviously a loaded handgun that appears to be loaded in the vehicle, and also a large knife that was recovered during the foot pursuit. And that coincides with the large amount of narcotics that was also found in the vehicle that appears that they're possibly up to doing drug dealing.
Can you tell us what type of narcotics?
Not at this point.